Okay, hello. Hello, hello. Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining there and back again, returning to the world of Salamangka, one of the many virtual events of the 2020 Philippine Readers and Writers Festival, brought to you by National Bookstore, with special thanks to Raffles Makati. So before we start, we invite you to shop for books online on www.nationalbookstore.com and the official NBS store on Lazada. You can also shop from NBS branches via chat to shop on Facebook Messenger and text to order through SMS or Viber. As a special offer, you can get 10% off on local books and up to 20% off on imported books when you shop online from September 25 to October 4 only. So add to cart and check out now. Limited stocks are available. Ayun. So yes, welcome everyone again. Ito po si Leon ng Summit Books. And we are here live for the official book launch of Salamangka 2. So finally, I have a book that I'm holding in my hands after 4 book launches with Summit Books. This is the first one that's finally arrived in my doorstep. So I'm actually live with the author right now, Ian Santamaria. He is based on Denmark, in Denmark. So unfortunately, ako meron, siya wala. So yun, pare, ganun talaga pag nakatira ka sa ibang bansa, di ba? But thank you for joining us all the way from Denmark. No, I know it's morning over there. So before we start, I just like to read a short bio about Ian, just so the readers who are tuning in now, and thank you for taking your time off to do so, will get to know him. So Ian Santamaria is the artist and the author of the Salamangka series. Yes, series na siya ngayon, guys. He is also the co-creator and artist of Kadasig, Seven Gifts of the Sky Gods, 66, which just got its English language version called Mr. Tino, as well as Skyworld Volume 1 and Volume 2. In his day job, he is a concept artist at Lego, which is why he's in Denmark right now. You can usually find him hunched over his drawing table, playing a video game, lost inside the comic book store, or daydreaming in a forest somewhere in Denmark. So yun, may pa-forest siya, guys. Okay,
hello,
but yeah, I know you live near the wilderness, no? Where
woods.
you are, near the woods. So very nice. So anyway, pare, congrats. Sakto ata 1 year, 1 year after we launched Salamangka 1, we now have Salamangka 2. Naalala ko pa before nung nag-pitch ka sa amin ng Salamangka 1, nagpadala ka ng Google Drive folder or zip file ng lahat ng illustrations mo. And I remember nag-uusap kami ni Mika, yung managing editor natin, na parang, wow, dami nito. Hindi ito kakasya sa isang libro. So parang we were communicating back and forth na parang, dude, parang hindi talaga kakasya sa isang libro. So if ever, let's save some for book 2, if it ever comes about. No promises, if ever a book 2 is going to come out. And here it is, no? 2 years after, 2.5 years after, here is book 2 nga. So tell us in your own words, what is Salamangka 2?
Okay. Think of it as a mix of Twilight Zone meets Dungeons and Dragons meets superheroes meets Filipino mythology. And if you combine to this, I am a super geek, di ba? So everything in pop culture, sinubukan kong isama-sama na dito. So it's everything that has influenced me and then interpreted into short flash stories based on a lot of, or mostly Filipino mythology. Kasi adik ako sa Filipino mythology kasi.
Nice, nice. So yeah, I mean, if we flip through the book, you can see that it's actually, yes, it's a collection of Ian's artwork, no? And then beside it, there's a short story or a piece of poetry.
Yes.
That accompanies it. So sobrang ano, I mean, it's quite a unique concept, and it was the same in Salamangka 1, and we kind of replicated it in Salamangka 2, but with some slight difference that we'll talk about later. No, but for you, how was the feeling coming back to this world? No, so soon after you had released book 1.
Actually, I never left. When book 1 was released, I immediately started working on book 2. So there wasn't a real gap. So since diba, your team, the Summit book team, and we agreed na, sige, let's do this in 2 books. Walang promise sa second book, pero ihati natin. So yung mga natirang images, I started working on them and I rewrote a lot of stories. So in that sense, I never really left, and it just felt good because it felt like the world building was getting a more solid idea, and it was easier to explain to a reader what Salamangka is. No, I don't want to give any spoilers yet, but in a nutshell.
Right, right. So you said that you started revisiting the pieces soon after book 1 was released, no? Yeah. So did you have to do a lot of new pieces, or did you have to rework a lot of your old ones? I mean, what was the creative process behind the pieces that we see here?
I did. As per usual, whenever a book comes out or a published thing comes out, you look at that, and then, well, I look at it in terms of execution, and then may kita mo yung stuff that you could improve on all the time. So when I started reworking Salamangka 2, I got a hold, like me bilang yung creator, mas na feeling ko nabuo ko na. In fact, I even invented a language for it. So but only written. Ang hirap ng linguistics eh.
Sample.
Written siya.
Biglang nagsalita eh.
Oh.
And then you're just pala speaking Danish. And then we wouldn't be any wiser, di ba?
Samafu. Anyway, Samafu means butterfly. That's one of the few Danish words I know. Anyway, yeah, so I did a lot of research on Tolkien. I have a book on Tolkien kasi, and how he made his how he started world building. And then I kinda got a lot of insights from that. So when Salamangka 2 was being reworked, I realized that, okay, maybe it's nice to solidify this world, and instead of introducing, look how many stories we can make out of Filipino mythology. That's Salamangka book 1. Look at this. And then we have book 2. Okay, all of these mythological stories, isang universe pala. So I'm borrowing a lot, sa kunyari cinematic, diba? Universe. So I'm borrowing a lot from Marvel na rin.
Right.
Because, as a geek, these are the things that make me happy. So yeah. So did I answer your question? And the process of
yeah. No, I mean you said nga that you started solidifying your world. I think those were your exact words.
Yes.
But so that was not part of the original plan ng Salamangka 1.
The original plan was just let's churn out a lot of stories. Let's just churn these out.
So it was an anthology talaga. Yung parang Salamangka one.
Exactly. And then while I was writing the stories for book 2, sabi ko, why not just make this into one cohesive thing which at the same time it's still an anthology created in this world. It's not
Right.
necessarily one long format story. It's tidbits of stories happening in this one world.
Right. You know what I really loved about both Salamancas, no? So I have them here.
Nainggit ako sa'yo!
I'm sure meron ka naman nito, no?
Oo, meron akong isa. The special hardbound version.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Ayun, doon ako naiinggit na meron kang ganyan. Ako, wala eh. Soft cover lang yung sa akin, men. But yeah, one of the things that I really loved about Salamanca 1 and now Salamanca 2 is that, you know, any reader can just flip to any page, and you know, you can appreciate already the art and the story. You don't have to read it in order. You can read it backwards. You can read it manga style. I don't know. You can read from the middle and then go to the beginning. You can just keep flipping through. So that was something that was really, very nice to have with Salamanca 1. But for Salamanca 2, you kind of started putting in some connective tissue, no? In between some of the stories. Okay.
Those little red threads, like they're actually hindi pa nga as in your face. They're kind of subtle. If you really read the stories and if
right.
Kind of subtle, and then yeah. So there's this red thread that tries to connect everything. Plus the format is sinadyang bite-sized stories. So you know, in this the idea of that. The social media interaction. So it's like reading through a timeline of stories. Like what you said.
Ganda.
Open anywhere. So
Yeah. Para siyang feed.
Yeah. Which you can start anywhere, the middle.
Yeah. A feed of Pinoy mythology straight up your veins. All right. So actually, one of the things you said really struck me, yung parang it's a red thread, you know, subtle red threads. And that reminded me of Reddit threads. And I'm sure there will be some Salamanca fans, Salamanca super fans, who might be, you know, going through every page of Salamanca 2 and really trying to parse out the connections between them. Tapos ipopost nila yun sa Reddit, and then, yun na, meron ka ng na-expose ka namin.
Well, I hope so. I hope
right. That would be really cool, no? Okay, so usual question when you have a bit of when you have let's say if you're a musician and you just release an album. Usually albums are what, 8 to 12 songs. Ito you have 50 artworks inside one very nice volume. Do you have a favorite piece?
Yeah, of course the cover. The Salamangkero. That's one of my favorites. Because it is so weird to introduce a main character in the second book, not the first one. Because the idea solidified in the second book.
Okay.
Also, I thought it was so unusual that I really pushed for it. It's like the character was inspired by the Crypt Keeper from Tales from the Crypt.
Yes.
That old horror anthology thing. But
right.
But that was horror, right? So I wanted this main character to play around with the name of the book. So Salamangka. So the idea was, without giving any spoilers, so what if we follow yung mundo na to also through the eyes of the first Salamangkero? What if we could follow a story of the first Salamangkero that the world has ever had? So I was playing around. So I love that character. The second and third ones would be and also for that character, diba, so super elaborate ng costume niya. It almost looks Viking.
Yung mask.
Yeah, it's a mix of
elaborate.
Actually, all of those things that he's wearing, there's a reason for it. And I'll explain that in Salamangka 3, if ever there's a Salamangka 3. Which I'm working on right now. But pero
sobrang teaser yun Kasi yung follow-up question ko sana, anong ibig sabihin ng mga tattoo na yan, yung mga markings na yan, ganun. But wala na, I'll have to save it for the next time we do this, no? Uh, and
And
hopefully that will be live na and hindi na via online
oo,
Zoom, di ba?
oo. Uwi na rin ako sa Manila eh.
Yeah, nice, nice. Okay, but also you had an interview with Spot.ph and you said that among your favorite pieces to do was this three-part series, yeah?
Yes, the female heroes.
The
Yes.
female hero. So the unsung warrior of Ibalon,
Uh-huh.
that's the first one. I don't know if the audience can see it there. And then you have the mysterious defender of the Moro,
Uh-huh.
and then you have the enigmatic hero of the Itas, no? So tell us about this series, these three women.
But very much like from one of the Darnas in the first book. I say Darnas, ano? It was inspired by Mars Ravelo's Darna.
Mhm.
Uh, that it was part of this hashtag campaign online, which was Sigaw Darna by Rob Chan and company and his group. And I decided along the way while I was doing some redesigns for Darna, well, these could be characters themselves, and the fact that I intentionally put some representation in it, so we have the a Muslim as a hero, an Ibalon warrior, and an Aita warrior. Plus, they're all female. Is I think speaks a lot about how even as storytellers, we should normalize inclusivity. And not just that, I think it's also when I designed them, I had so much fun drawing them, and the research on Ibalon aesthetic, on Moro aesthetic, and the like. And when I was and they just became my favorite, like because I guess I had so much fun drawing them, and the reactions they got online. So
Nice, nice.
I love that I had the opportunity to take, to take inspiration from this great character that Mars Ravelo created and be inspired by that and create versions of my own, which I
Right.
turn would hope be the effect of this book to other readers as well.
Very nice, very
I can
nice.
only hope. Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, how would you say your art style has improved? I mean, for a lot of readers, no, syempre they see it as book one or book two, so there's a clear dividing line. But for you as the creator, it's just really one text because you've been working in this world
Yes.
nonstop for so long. So for you, I'm sure it kind of all blends together, no? But how would you say, since the release of the book, you kind of evolved artistically?
Well, actually, it's not as holistic as you might think in my head. Because in my head, it's more like a phase one and then a phase two.
Right,
Also, in
right.
terms of learning curve, in terms of execution. So I guess for book two, um, I there's a lot more. It's really in execution. I don't know pa nga kung mapapansin pa ng readers the change in execution style, but it's really uh I learned a lot kasi in how to use and how to blend and create brushes on Procreate, and I had more fun with that doing the second book. Kasi with the first book, it was so much fun also because I was slowly discovering Salamangka and at the same time slowly discovering the tools that I was using to make it, like Procreate, right? And then when book two comes out, or when we started working on book two, then the discovery for the stories and how to tell the stories together with how to execute them using these tools, uh, nagsabay-sabay din. So it's a lot of discovering new stuff, like yeah, creating brushes, learning to write from you and from other writers as well. So I I I would say it. I don't know if the readers would kung mapapansin nila eh. But for me, it's the way I paint has been faster and more fun. And same also with how I'm writing now. It's more fun right now because I learned a lot. Um, from the first one, especially getting the notes from the editor. You. So it's a constant learning curve. If everyone doesn't know, Leo is my editor, and it's a nice.
Dude, host lang ako, host.
Uh,
Today,
I
I
would
am
say
the
there's a
host.
nice synergy going on because as I wouldn't even consider myself as a writer pa nga kasi I'm still learning. So everything is a learning curve, and then you're excited to use what you learn and then execute that, and then move on to the next one, and hopefully you learn new things. You just never stop learning.
Right, right. Okay. And speaking of, having fun with the creative process, I think the people who were there early, I say quote unquote early,
Yes.
the ones who were able to buy the first few copies of Salamangka 2 on National Bookstore and the other online shops were able to find this surprise inside the books. No?
Yes. Yeah, the
Right?
Diwata prints.
Yeah, the Diwata print. So tell us about these.
Okay. Originally, the idea came about because I wasn't I won't be able to go home to do signed books for sale. So
Oo nga.
so since we didn't have that and I couldn't go
Cue
home,
the violin music.
I know. So parang it's a way of saying thank you then for those who supported book one. Let's give them something new and let's give them some sort of freebie for this. So we decided that let's give them some free prints. So get it's a collection of 4 different prints, and you get one free print with the limited number of Salamanca 2 sold, right? Just one.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea behind that is to introduce early on 4 characters that might hopefully see the light of day when we see Salamanca 3. Kasi may rason
Right,
yan
right.
kung bakit sila. There's a reason why kung bakit silang 4 ang libreng print eh.
Tsaka all new sila, di ba? Wala sila sa libro.
Wala sila sa libro.
Yeah, wala
All
sila sa
new.
libro.
So those 4 prints aren't even in the book. So I hope people would treat it as like a special freebie.
Right. It was a nice surprise. I mean, we didn't want to publicize it at all, di ba? I mean, it was really a
Yes,
secret.
right.
It was really a secret for the fans who really lined up, quote unquote, and really bought the book on the first day. And for everyone, really a massive thank you for all the support of Salamanca 2. I think we even briefly sold out during our first day of sales.
We
But
did.
thank you to
Did we?
National. Thank you to National that we were able to. No, the first day lang naman. And then
Okay.
thank you to National and to Summit Books, of course, for being able to quickly restock. No, so yeah, and for all of the fans tuning in right now of Ian, please feel free to message the thread or to leave a comment in the section below if you have any questions for him, and we'll be able to ask that later on in this panel. No? Okay, sige. Step back away muna tayo from Salamanca para tanungin si kamusta ka na pre? Medyo 6 months. I mean, iba. Nasa Pinas kami, nasa Denmark. Medyo iba yung experiences natin pandemic-wise, no? But how have you been holding up?
I think it's sort of the same because I'm like a hermit here. I don't leave my house. I guess I'm just lucky that the situation here isn't as dire as it is in some other countries. But we are also working from home in terms of work, day job. Kasi the numbers also went up, nag-spike ulit eh. Dito eh. Like the other countries, they went down and went up again.
Right.
And I didn't leave the house. I actually just kept on working on Salamangka 2. And that and PlayStation, and I've been playing a lot of Ghost of Tsushima. Like a lot.
Yeah. I get you, man. I think we were talking about this.
Yeah. Because dude, the aesthetic of the game is so beautiful. It actually inspired some of the pages in Salamanca 2.
Oh, dude, no. Seriously? I didn't know that.
I had to go
I didn't
back
know
and
that.
redraw the landscapes because the scenery of Ghost of Tsushima is just so freaking beautiful. And I want to draw more flowers. I want to draw trees. So and then I didn't have that much time to redraw most of Salamanca too. So
Yeah,
as
kasi when Ghost of Tsushima was released, that was what, late July. I think we were really on the final push for the book eh.
nagbabatuhan na tayo nun, di ba? Ng book.
Revisions, di ba? Nagbabatuhan na tayo ng revisions noon.
Oo.
I think I was on my tablet the entire time and just marking out text corrections, di ba? Na sobrang sorry pare, medyo mabigat yung naging mga changes na hiningi ko. But so I'm surprised that even at that late stage, you were able to kind of integrate a PlayStation video game into the book that I'm holding right now in my hands. I never knew that, man.
Hindi, kasi wala eh. If inspiration hits you, you gotta do something about it talaga eh. And otherwise, mauusi talaga. But then, since I didn't have time to repaint a lot of them, so I've applied all of those Salamangka 3 again. I keep on saying Salamangka 3, kakalabas lang ng Salamangka 2. But yeah.
No problem, no problem. Excited tayo lahat.
Yes.
Ah.
So yeah, so I've and then I have not been really going out, and I've been doing a lot of workshops online in Manila, and then the online workshops has actually been keeping me sane because I've been like this, so we're socializing online instead of chat box lang. At least I get to see other people. And nakapag-Tagalog ako kasi nakakamiss mag-Tagalog.
Oo naman. Oo naman. Yun na nga. I mean, actually, to anyone who's been following your page, parang ang dami mo nang online seminars, no? So, ano yung parang usually na gusto mong iparating sa mga students mo doon?
Is that drawing will come naturally if you just do it all the time. It's just repetition. And that's what I say every workshop, because lalo na this day and age, a lot of kids will come up and they have a lot of insecurities, I think, because it's also an effect of social media and instant like gratification thing. And I tend to meet a lot of kids who hold these the likes as real currency, and then in these conversations I try to convince them that draw for yourself first before asking or before expecting a like if you post it on social media, because it'll just eat you up. And that's the conversation that I have a lot of times with kids when doing workshops.
Do you have that same conversation with yourself? Like, is there an effect? I mean, you've been doing this for a long time, no? But is there that same? Do you feel the same pressure? Like you said, nga, some of the stuff that you're in Salamanca too also first appeared online, di ba?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Actually, it's not pressure. I would describe it as I hope this triggers people to do research about the stories behind what I draw, if that makes any sense. More than my drawing, this may sound super duper idealistic, but more than my drawing, I hope the image would inspire other people to do research and to learn more about Filipino mythos. And if I do get at least one or two people to do research and inspire them to write their own stories and create their own characters based on this mythology, then I am happy.
Nice. Actually, we'll revisit that. No,
Okay.
I mean, I wanted to have a follow up na parang, what are the cool things you've learned about Filipino mythology through your research for Salamanca too. Pero later muna yan because we're still in the your life right now part. So
right.
you talked about the PlayStation 4. What else has been keeping you sane over the past few months?
Yeah, I've eBay. eBay and Amazon has been super friends
So,
of mine.
toys to, no? Toys.
Yes. Well,
wag mo kaming lokohin na groceries or appliances or home improvement stuff. No, it's toys, dude.
Ay, hindi. Bumili rin ako ng libro, ah.
Okay.
I bought Nordic Tales, Japanese Monster Tales, Monstrous Tales, and I'm still waiting for them. Pero bumili rin ako mga laruan. Kasi, with or without pandemic, I mean, toy collecting will always be there for me. In fact, mas nakakahiya nga bumili ng laruan during pandemic kasi you're putting these delivery essential workers' lives in jeopardy for a freaking toy. Like, the world is burning and I'm like, shit, nasa na yung Darth Vader ko? Hindi pa dumating. Parang nakaka-guilty rin minsan eh. But I still do it.
On the other hand, you are contributing to the economy. So,
I hope so.
Importante rin yan. Importante rin yan, man. Okay, any new shows? Any new shows you've been getting into?
Oh man, I love Raised by Wolves. Have you seen it?
Oh yeah. HBO, right? Yeah.
It is
I haven't started.
I freaking love Raised by Wolves. I mean, the aesthetic, the storytelling, napapapalo ako sa table. I love it. I love it so much. The Boys.
Okay.
I've been watching The Boys.
The Boys. Yeah. Naka season 2. Yeah. Season 2 na nga.
Yeah. So that and like I told you earlier, I just signed on for Disney Plus. And I've been watching a lot of old cartoons like the original Lion King and the original Mulan. Because I saw the live action Mulan. Na-miss ko si Mushu. For some reason, ang laking bagay pala ni Mushu sa akin sa Mulan. So pag wala si Mushu sa Mulan, walang kwenta yan. Where's your Dragon, man? Where's your Eddie Murphy? So,
Right. And here's Ian flexing now na siya merong Disney Plus. While tayo sa Pilipinas, wala pa, no? So,
actually, wala pa ba sa Pilipinas ang Disney Plus?
Pare, wala pa.
Akala ko nahuli kami. Actually,
Hindi. Nauna tayo. Nice. But yeah, it's something to look forward to. It is something to look forward to, and I'm really, especially, you and I are big Marvel fans, so this is something that's really that we're really looking forward to when the shows start coming out.
WandaVision, Hawkeye, Winter Soldier, and Falcon.
Yeah.
WandaVision trailer pa lang, tuwan-tuwa na ako eh. I mean, I'm so excited to see that show, and I don't know how they'll do it, but the execution looks so fresh.
Yeah, it looks right up your alley, man. Okay, creatively, has your process changed because of the pandemic? I mean, now that work from home, I was talking to some of our authors the past few days, and syempre iba sila kasi mas writing yung focus nila. But they were really able to reconnect, and some of them felt that they needed to explore more genres or parang mas sumeryoso yung outlook nila sa mga usual na stories na ginagawa. But some naman, really wanted to focus more on escapism. So for you creatively, how do you think the pandemic has kind of impacted you?
Well, in terms of work, I miss working with my seatmates, the other concept artists, because I learn a lot from them, actually. That's the only thing I really miss. Other than that, it's been a little bit normal for me. I can't really complain because with my process, kasi I just really sit on my desk and just be in my own bubble.
Right.
So I would like to say that working from home has worked a lot for me. I love peace and quiet. In fact, nagiging ermitanyo na ata ako dito eh. Kasi na-enjoy ko masyado yung seclusion. But
kulang na lang balbas, pare. Magtubukan. Gandalf.
Wala, tinutubuan ng bigote. Kung
Gandalf look, man.
May kita ka mga 20.
Sorry, Radagast pala. Radagast. Yun dapat yung alam mo.
And in terms of creative process, I would say nothing really changed. I just had more time to read books, like real books, not just comic books. I had a lot of time to teach myself through YouTube and other online sites on how to use other digital tools or actual like traditional tools. So I've been consistently been researching on how else to improve on what I do.
Right, right. So speaking of research nga, just to go back to what you said nga that you're hoping people will dig into your stories and find out more stories about Filipino myth. So syempre, sa'yo naman, sa kaso mo, when you were doing these pieces for Salamanca too, what surprising tidbits did you find out about Philippine history or Philippine folklore?
Um, I guess it's not surprising anymore, but more like I would um I would use the word uh astonished, because there is so much similarities between the Viking lore,
Mm-hmm.
and I like that so much because it gives me like a first time writer, it gives me a lot of leeway on how to execute a story, because I have because of pop culture, I was exposed to Viking lore first when I was young, and Greek mythology before Filipino mythology, di ba? Which is so weird. Kasi nung bata tayo, wala naman internet, and we had Thor already in Marvel, right? And then we had we had the Greek gods already. And
That's true. That's
I
true.
am
One of the
learning how
things that we
similar.
hope to remedy nga.
Oo. And then it's just so amazing that there are so many similarities despite the fact that these are stories from different continents. And I the research has actually led me more to finding out, like, personally, I would like to find out more on why they're so similar. And like, for example, Bathala and Odin, how mighty and petty they can be as gods, and uh, how it works metaphorically. The powerful can be as petty as the lowest human. And stuff like that. Those little tidbits of ideas gives me more stuff to work with in creating stories, because I'm already familiar with how stories are told uh, in the Western world because of my exposure to the Western writers, and it makes it easier for me to write for Filipino mythology using the same tropes and techniques that I was exposed to. But in turn, mas nakakakilig because now instead of saying Odin, I'm saying Bathala, and it's so much fun, and it gives me
Yeah,
a lot of pride.
right, right.
You know,
It rolls off the tongue better rin. Batal. Di ba? Parang ang saya rin sabihin.
and pre-colonial tribal Filipino aesthetic is just so beautiful for me,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and I hope nga, yun nga, if the aesthetic grabs you, then you dive deeper into the insight of the aesthetic. Like, for example, diba, the weaving itself, when the Ifugaos weave, those triangles and squares have stories. Eh.
Mm-hmm.
So and yeah, so the I wouldn't say there are specific tidbits that surprise me, but it's more on a holistic scale of um, discovering how else I can uh, introduce the lore to an audience, reintroduce in my own special way.
Right, right. And what I like about Salamanca 1 and 2 is that you do recontextualize, things that we may have heard before, but then you put them
Right.
in new stories, like the Minokawa, di ba? Or even the famous legend of, yung nilulunok niya yung buwan, di ba? I mean, and you put them in, you recontextualize them in your own artistic interpretation, no? So for me, what I wanted to find out was how did you arrange the pieces? No, obviously, your work is very diverse. Sometimes you have very serious pieces. Sometimes you have very cute pieces. So when you were arranging like I'm thinking of it like an album again. Like
Yeah.
how did you think? Okay, this is track one. This is track 10. This is track 50. Like what was the flow philosophy behind your flow?
Um, I the most basic idea behind it was how could I arrange it in a way that it would be easier for people to open it anywhere and still not feel like they started reading from the middle.
Okay.
But if
Uh,
you read it the correct way, it should still work, right? So
Hirap i-balance nun.
but I did get a lot of help from Michaela from the Summit Book team. She helped with the pagination, and I guess it's really just clumping together like the little, like for example, organizing all the little creatures, all the weapons, they're clumped together. All the giants and let's say and sea creatures clumped together.
Right, right.
It's just as simple as that. But
Yeah,
then,
so
in the intro, you have the Book of Bathala, which feels good as an intro, because it's
mm,
like a tour opening, like what we had in the first Salamanca book. You had the tour,
right,
so
right.
every time you open the book, there's always a welcoming piece for the reader.
Okay, so you didn't do before, with Salamanca One. This was a one-man show. You drew everything and you wrote everything. But this time you had quite a team of collaborators with
Yes.
you. So why did you decide na ano ba? Ano ba nangyari dito? Sabi mo ba farm out ko na lang yung pagsusulat or how did that come about?
Actually, nung una, okay, let's backtrack. First of all, these are people that I've always wanted to work with. When I met them, because I'm a big fan of their writing to start off, and I wanted book two to have something different. And the hope is, for example, if Salamanca does become a series more than two books, I would like to have something new to give to a reader every time. So for since book one was a solo book, sige, book two, let's do an art jam. And I've wanted so long to work with spoken word writers and poets, and I tapped. I'm a big fan of Patricia Ramos, M. Manessa, and Motsi Dapul. I really think they're very talented poets, and I asked them to uh, join the bandwagon. Sort of saying, and very nice. They asked, "Hey guys, I wanted to work with you for so long, and I like how you write. So I have drawings. Could you write your own stories?" And I didn't actually brief them. I just told them, okay, this is the insight behind the drawing, but I would like each writer to come up with their own. And for everyone who's watching, Leo is one of them. I also asked Leo to write, and
Just
Patricia
one, just one.
from Summit. So it's Patricia Ramos, M. Manese, uh, Motsi Dapul, of course, Leo Mangubat, Coco, my sister, our youngest sister, AD Santa Maria, who's the only real writer in my family, and I asked her to help out with a few stories. Jao Bautista and Meggy de Guzman. And Jao Bautista and Meggy de Guzman naman are award-winning copywriters advertising, and I've always wanted to work with them on something that is non-advertising. And this is our first project together. And this is also, yeah, so it's mostly for me, sa totoo lang, because I've always wanted to collaborate with these guys with projects, with you guys. So that's what happens. And then I said,
Right.
okay, I want
You said
to
nga na ano, I mean in my case, and I think it was the case for every writer there, you didn't give us the brief at all. You just said, oh, ito yung drawing,
go wild, yes.
and ito na, ikaw na bahala. Ikaw na bahala
Yes.
kung anong isusulat mo. So, what were the surprising insights that you got? I mean, did you feel na pagbalik ng piyesa sa'yo, what did you feel na to have the words and then your art suddenly paired together?
Oh, it was super satisfying to see what a writer can come up with uh, from an image that you created, and then without a brief, just try to get the writer to be inspired by it. Because at the very core of it, that is the concept of Salamanca, is to inspire other people to tell and create their own stories. And I wanted to bring that experiment to another level with you guys. So yeah, so it's just bringing the intent to another level. If that makes any sense, because if
Yeah,
they tend
yeah,
to
yeah.
inspire other people, so let's see if I inspire other writers and actually publish what they create.
Right, right. And I think a lot of the themes, whether it's from our pens, no, or your pen or your own creations, a lot of them hit a lot of certain themes. No, there's a lot of poets. There's a lot of poems here. There's a lot of flash fiction here that has kind of a reversal at the end. Like there's that bit of unexpected twist
Yeah.
always for to most of them, and for others, naman, I felt like there was also a deep nostalgia, like for things that were lost, either namatay yung daddy niya or a time that happened before. Parang ganun. There was kind of that there were those themes that came up, no. So in your art, did you really consciously try to tackle these themes as well?
Well, I try, but you know, you discover those themes also while you're doing the process of drawing it. Kasi sometimes I start with a bullet point or a sentence before I draw. And then while I'm drawing it, and then yung mga hugot and yung insights to fuel the stories, they come during the process. Kasi you conceptualize continuously while you're executing. So, and then sometimes it evolves, sometimes it changes. Sometimes the idea for the story nagbabago. And then um, and then if you're working with a writer, like for example, these writers, they send their stories, they surprise me with the stories that they came up with the image. And it surprises me. Or this particular, for example, yung story ni Jao about a little boy confronting a capre.
Oh
And
yeah, that
the
one was
writer
really
volunteered.
surprising.
Ah, I love that so much.
That
And
one was grabe yun kasi
yun nga, di ba?
parang even I didn't know that I mean I kind of knew. I don't know if you've heard of this author, si Ted Chiang, but he's a sci-fi author and he played around with that same concept, yung disorder na yun, the boy
Right.
who's facing the capre. He tackled that in a sci-fi story. Tapos biglang to see it in a Philippine, to see that, how can I say, it's a disorder, di ba? It's a neurological disorder. To see that in a Filipino fantasy mythology tale was really mind blowing to me. Na parang, wow, my God.
Kasi yun yung maganda pag sinusurpresa ka ng writers. That's why this was really an experiment. Um, Working with them and giving them a piece of art without any brief, but just the insight and your working title for that piece of work. And then when it comes back to you, and then you read it, and then it's really, I keep saying satisfying, but it really is so satisfying to see how these writers came up with from from something that you drew, and it's totally different from what you were thinking, from what I was thinking while I was drawing that. That's why they're always a nice surprise.
Yeah, for me that was one of the high points nga of the book when I read that story. Like, wow, my God. And the drawing, your original drawing was very simple. It was really what it says on the title. It's a young boy looking at a capre. Diba?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
to kind of extrapolate this one page thing, diba? With this one page tale that is so rich out of that drawing. It was really one of the many joys that comes from reading Salamanca too. And I'm sure joys rin of creating of creating it or piecing it together for you.
Yeah. Which is also the format of Salamangka. Like each story kind of starts. Each image is already a story that's happening. So you're already in the middle of it, kumbaga, without reading the copy, right? So as an image, it's already a scene in a story. So it's just so nice to see how the writers who helped me out came up with their own stories with just a piece of that story to begin with. And it's not even a story that they're familiar. They have to come up with their own.
Right, right.
It's like
And yeah, you go into so many worlds, but there was one very interesting one I think right before the three heroes, the three female heroes, yung the rebel.
Ah,
And correct me if I'm wrong, no? Pero parang siya lang yung cyberpunk. Like,
yeah.
fantasy, 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 mythology, mythology, mythology. Tapos biglang may nasingit na is, I mean, spoiler for everyone who's there. But I have to say that really struck me na, wow, it was really surprising for me and a pleasant surprise actually that you had a cyberpunk tale smack in the middle of this book. Very surprising. And to me, it also really showed how flexible Salamanca is. No?
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
Well, it was written by Motsi Dapul, um, the rebel, and it's actually planting seeds on where Salamanca can take you. And because everything, Salamanca 1 and 2 is a lot of modern to pre-colonial aesthetic, diba?
Yeah.
So it actually, it's a nice way of planting seeds about on how to explore Filipino mythology and then put it in different settings. So maybe Salamanca 3 can have a futuristic setting.
Right, right. And I love that the tattoos, tattoos, which is such a vital part of pre-Hispanic Filipino culture, parang they get a new meaning in this future world. Di ba?
Yeah.
Ang galing nun.
Hopefully, also, thinking ahead, you're trying to come up with stories of how would a manananggal survive in space or in stuff like that. Will there be aswang in the future? Will mamabarangs be on hoverboards? Stuff like that. So there's nice ideas to play around with, and and keep the world growing.
Right, right. And speaking of the world, nga, speaking of the world, so ito na nga, you and I were geeks, and we love this about the comic book universes that we get into. Na there's a complete cohesive universe, no. So, do you feel? I mean, you've taken the steps towards that, no. So, without maybe spoiling anything, no. What are the things that for Salamanca obsessives who are going to pick up this book for the first time, coming from book one, what is the connective tissue or what are the red threads that you're building up to kind of unify this world?
Actually, magic. So how all the things we know that are magical and mythical from Salamanca 1, what if they're all really connected? The idea comes from Neil Tyson deGrasse, no? Are you familiar with Neil Tyson?
Yeah, of course. Yes, the astronomer.
The idea from him where everything is connected. Everything in the universe is connected. We are all carbon based. Everything in the universe has carbon, and that idea of everything is connected. I borrow that concept and you put a magical twist on it and put it in a context of fantasy, and then use the science behind creation and pepper that with stories about again magic and fantasy, and then you're suddenly uh and then it becomes easier to envision these stories on a platform like under one blue sky. So did I answer? Am I rambling?
Yeah, yes. No. That's perfect. That's perfect.
That one red thread is just magic. So, for example, the way I started Salamanca 2 is what if if we start a story with, for example, the first wizard, the first Salamancero, the first shaman, and use that as a plot device to bring all these magical creatures together.
Right,
It makes it easier for me just to tell a story actually.
Yeah. He's a good parang Sandman dati, di ba? If you have a strong central character. Yeah. And then he can kind of hop in or out of different worlds. Yeah. Right. Okay, so actually we do have one reader question. No? I think Patricia Ramos, very familiar.
Oh, Patricia,
Patay ka. Ito na. Ito yung tanong niya. How did you decide who to assign the story to?
I did a raffle. I actually did a raffle.
So random. Seryoso, dude.
Yeah, it was super duper
Random.
Yes,
Man.
I did the thing. Next, Pat. Okay, ito kay Pat. Para walang bias. Because I really wanted it to be, I wanted the creativity to be free flowing and no one to be, cordoned off. And originally, I wanted to assign stories originally, but then that takes away from the idea of the free flow thing. So I kept it random, super random. So there was, so Patricia, there wasn't any real thinking behind the appointment of artwork to the writers.
Akala ko, ito, si Leo, sa kanya na yung kabayo.
Dude, ikaw pumili nun eh. Ikaw kaya nagsabi, dibs sa kabayo.
Hindi ko, naalala ko, hindi. Parang, I don't know why, something about that artwork really struck me na nung nakita ko. Kasi, medyo swerte kami kasi we were able to have the complete, parang us editors, we had the complete lineup of all the illustrations. So I was like, okay, dibs ako sa horse. I don't know why. So hopefully it turned out well. Okay. Right. And then we do have another question. This one, baka it gives you ideas. Will the prints be sold as a set separately? So question for you, sir.
No, but there will be a way for you to collect them all, but we'll announce that at another time. So we're planning something for people who would like the complete set of prints.
All right, nice. Okay. So yeah, wow, pare, naka isang oras na pala tayo. Di ko na malayan.
Agad?
Oo nga eh. And well, salamat sa NBS, but since we are in NBS, we kind of have to follow a strict schedule.
Yes.
So
thank you, National Bookstore.
I will move on to our final question. No? So what is next for you, Ian? What's been cooking in the project? And bawal ka nang magsabi ng Salamangka 3 kasi kanina mo pa binabanggit.
That's all I'm doing right now. And I'm really, really diving deep into it because if people feel, I've been getting messages this morning, and thank you sa mga nag-message, that they felt that somehow Salamangka 2 has evolved for those that has already read them this morning. And Salamangka 3, I hope, will be bigger. So in terms of the storytelling format, and I'm going more back to the roots of sequential art for Salamangka 3. And,
all right, nice.
And more surprises for that. And so far there's that, and I'm keeping myself busy with making Salamangka 3 the best version of Salamangka I could ever make.
All right. And do you have any final message to all your readers and all your fans?
Well, thank you for everyone who has Salamangka 1 and 2. And if you don't, you might want to get 1 or 2. Set na pala siya. Keep on forgetting. And thank you to all the writers who helped me. Patricia Ramos, Motsi Dapul, Emma Nese, AD, my sister, Santa Maria, Jao Bautista, and Maggie de Guzman, all these wonderful talents. Thank you so much. And to the living legends that actually contributed with their write-ups for the book. So I would like to thank Will Spartasio, Steven Segovia, Harvey Tulibao, and Lionel Liu.
Oh my God. I can't believe I forgot. Oh nga, this was part of my list of questions and I completely forgot to ask it. So actually perfect tong last question. No? So if you look at the back of Salamangka, you will find some praise for Ian from some of the big names in the business, no? One of them, si Lionel Francis Yu, is the artist right now of one of my favorite comic books at the moment, uh, X-Men, which is on a roll, which is on a roll right now with
And he's
Jonathan Hickman.
exclusively working for Marvel now.
Right, right. And then you have Wills, of course, who's the co-founder of Image Comics. Yeah, yeah. And then you have Harvey Tolibao and Steven Segovia. So these are all, big names, big Filipinos who are working in the comic books industry right now. How does it feel for you to read these words?
Oh man, it's very humbling, super duper humbling because these guys are my heroes and kulang pa nga yan eh. But it, it it's just it's very humbling. Nakakakilig, kinikilig ako actually.
All
To
right,
hear
yeah.
words
And
of praise from Wills, Harvey, Lionel, and Steven, because
yeah,
these are guys I really look up to, and yeah, and I can only aspire to be like them.
right. And that's really heavy praise for this book, no? And we're really happy that they had such kind words for what we're doing, no? All right, so that is it. We'd like to close this session now. So thank you again for everyone who tuned in. So yeah, on behalf of National Bookstore and Summit Books, we want to thank all of you again for joining us today. We also want to remind you that you can shop for Salamangka 2 at www.nationalbookstore.com and on the official NBS store in Shopee. So you can actually get Salamanca 2 and Salamanca 1 also. You can get 10% off on local books and up to 20% off on imported books when you shop online from September 25 to October 4 only. So add to our add to cart and check out now. Limited stocks are available.
And
So
hurry
yun.
because yeah, the limited Diwata prints, they're very limited, so try to
Get
get
the
one
catch
now
them all.
if you
Gotta
want
catch them
those.
all. Kung Pokemon nga to, gotta catch them
Uh,
all. All right. This is Leo from Summit Books and Ian, and we are signing off.
Bye everyone.